Today, I'm going to talk about having an effective rehearsal. Having an effective rehearsal. So I know a lot of times, can you hear that? I'm going to turn this music off because, yeah, one of my go-to songs when I need to get my mind right. It's called, what is it called? It is called Pursuit by Jesus Culture. Love that song. Pursuit by Jesus Culture. But anyway, good morning, D. Michelle, all the way from Kissimmee. So anyway, we're talking about effective rehearsal, how to have an effective rehearsal. A lot of times as worship leaders, we are, we get just, I want to say inundated, but just we get like so focused on just making sure that we have, good rehearsals, or making sure that our team is prepared to lead on Sunday mornings. But how do we do that? What does that mean? What does that look like behind the scenes? It's so much more than just, jumping up on the stage on Sunday mornings. We have to have a time of preparation. We have to prepare. And so in order to do that, we want to make sure that we are having effective rehearsal times. So rehearsals, a lot of times for a lot of our volunteers, it's like their most favorite time of the week. It's their time to get away from the normal day-to-day life. It's their time to fellowship with one another, with people that maybe they are, if they're new to the team, people that they haven't met before. They're beginning creating relationships. I know people from when I was leading back at Faith World 15 years ago that are still like very, very, very close friends. And so, when we have those times of relationship and fellowship in rehearsals, that's a great time for them to foster those relationships that will last for years and years to come. It also is a time for you to create a culture of worship. Create a culture of worship within your church. It starts with your praise team. So you develop that culture of worship within your team, and then when they come out to minister, it begins to flow over into your congregation. But you create a culture. You create a culture of your team. When they see your team in action, what is the culture that you want them to portray? What do you want people to know, that we are a family unit, or are we just a group of people that just come together, we get together and we sing and we go home? So I know for my team, I like for people to know, absolutely, it's a lifetime of friendships. So I like for people to know that when they see the choir or the music team or the worship arts ministry coming forth, that we're not just a people that like to sing, but we are a family. And we have, just like Deirdre said, we've created a lifetime of friendships, a lifetime of relationships. And and they're in all different facets. During our rehearsals, we learn more about praise and worship. We get to learn more about the presence of God. We get to learn more about the character of God and who he is. And we get to access his presence because of praise and worship, because his word tells us that he lives in and he abides in the praises of his people. So these are all wonderful things to consider when we're thinking about relationships. Or, I'm sorry, not relationships, but when we're thinking about rehearsal. We have relationships that are birthed out of our rehearsal times, because we're all on one accord. We are family. That's exactly right. So, but how do we make these rehearsals effective? The other part about rehearsal is that we get to sing, and singing is fun. If you like to sing, you like to make music, or you like to play an instrument, making music is fun. It brings joy to your soul, right? When you get to sing. So, rehearsals are the most favorite times of the week for many of our volunteers. So, but when we have these rehearsal times, we want to make sure that the times that we are spending with our team is effective, right? So 3 things I want to share today on how to make sure you have an effective rehearsal. So the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure you have a plan. You want to make sure you have a plan for your rehearsal times. So, you don't want to just go into rehearsal, and say, okay, we're going to meet at 7:00 and we're going to just run over some songs and just, do whatever we're going to do when we get there. No, you want to have a plan. You want to have a plan of action. What is it that you want to accomplish by the end of your time together? You want to know what you're going to do. What songs are you going to be singing? What songs are you going to be preparing for? What songs are you going to teach them? So you want to have a plan of action. You want to know exactly what you want them to know, that when they come in, that we're going to go somewhere. We have specific things that we're going to be doing. You also want to prepare your scripture. What scripture are you going to be sharing? What word of encouragement are you going to have for your team? Because you want to make sure that you have something prepared for your team, right? Absolutely. A plan is necessary for your rehearsals. Y'all would not believe how many people don't prepare for their rehearsals. Like, they just say, we're just going to go and practice, and then they don't have anything really prepared for that. So make sure that you have lyric sheet printed out, especially if it's a new song that you're teaching. Make sure that you have an adequate number of copies of lyrics available for your team. Have those lyrics already printed out for them, so that way they don't have to search for it on their phone. And I know sometimes we run out, and thank God we have our lyrics on Planning Center, so they may go on Planning Center to grab those lyrics, But make sure that you have lyrics available, especially for new songs. Know what songs that you're going to be practicing for the day. Have pencils and pens available. I like for my folks that when we're learning new music, I like for them to listen to the music and take notes. So have pens available for them to take those notes. Have water available. You want to make sure that your singers are hydrated. Provide water for them. Doesn't cost much to grab a little 12-pack case of water, a 12-pack of water. Just grab that and bring it, and make sure that they have that water available so they can stay hydrated while they are singing. Have a plan prepared, right? Be prepared. The second thing to have an effective rehearsal is to have a plan of execution. Have a plan of execution. Yeah, Michelle says rehearsal is learning. You must have things in order so everyone stays on the same page. Absolutely. That's actually a tactic from teaching. You want to make sure that everyone is able to stay on task. We get so distracted with phones and all of these things. And so you want to make sure that everyone has everything so they can stay on task, right? So the second thing is to have a plan of execution. You have a plan, but then how are you going to execute that plan? For me, I'm a little anal, I guess, in some ways. So I like to have notes, and I don't have. Oh wait, I do have them in here. Here's my pink folder. I have this pink folder. I've had this pink folder since I started working here. And every week I have my lyrics that I'm going to share, and I have my notes. Let's see, did I throw my notes away from last week already? But I have all my lyrics of the songs that we're working on. No, I don't have it in here. I already cleaned out my thing from last week. But I was going to show you my notes, but I don't have them in here. But I have notes that I print out each week that shows me, okay, these are the songs that we're going to start with. These are the songs that we're going to end with. And these are the songs that we're going to prepare, that we're going to go over for this coming weekend. So what I like to do for my rehearsals, I like to start with vocal warm-ups. I'm a vocalist. I'm a vocal coach. And vocal technique and health is very important to me. So I like to make sure that we start with some type of vocal warm-up. Now, I would love for my singers to come already prepared and already warmed up. Good morning, Carol. So glad you joined us this morning. I would like for my singers to already come prepared and warmed up, but that doesn't happen all the time. I don't even come prepared, warmed up all the time. So I want to make sure that I'm warmed up vocally. So we always start with vocal warm-ups, right? Of course, we're going to pray before we start all of that, but warm up vocally. And then I like to start with a fast song. Especially if it's a song that we've been working on. I'll start with a fast, upbeat song just to kind of get us all engaged and get us all moving and get that brain working, right? And then we'll go to a brand new song. If I'm teaching a brand new song, the way that I do that, I'll play the song a couple times. Of course, they have their lyrics. I'll play the song a couple times. They have their pencils. I'm telling them, make sure that you're taking notes of the things that you're hearing, making notes on your paper, on your lyric sheet when we go to parts, when we go to unison, and this is enabling them to become learners of music, right? So that way when they are practicing or when they're listening to stuff at home, they'll be able to pick out and say, oh, okay, yeah, I remember that's the part that we go to unison. Oh, if we sing this song, this is a harmony part, or this is a part where this just sopranos go in a harmony. It's only 2-part harmony, or this is a place where we sing it, we repeat it 4 times, So making sure that they're listening and they have their pens and their things are ready while they're learning this new song. And then after we do the new song, then we go back and we review songs for the coming weekend. We review songs for the coming weekend. So that way, if there's anything that maybe we haven't sung in a long time, we can touch on that. But if it's a song that we kind of know, and I don't spend any time on those songs, because those are songs that we already know. We know them consistently. We've done them consistently. And so unless someone has a question about a part, then we'll go back over that. But yeah, so making sure that I start with warm-ups. Start with a fast song to get everyone engaged, get them ready to sing, and then introduce a new song, making sure that they have their lyric sheet and pens to make their notes, right? And then we go over our songs that will be ministering for the upcoming weekend. So that's my plan of execution. So you have to develop your plan of execution. What is your mode of operations, right? How do you facilitate your rehearsals? That's what we're talking about, having an effective rehearsal. And during that time of review, when we're preparing for the songs for the weekend, that time kind of gives way to us practicing the presence of God and really like getting into the atmosphere of worship and the atmosphere of what's going to take place when we're ministering this song, right? We can kind of practice and see, okay, that's the flow. That's where that stream is. That's where the presence of God is, because we've encountered it ourselves in our rehearsals. So that way, when we get into service Sunday morning, okay, you guys are there? I had a text come through. Yeah. So that kind of gives us an idea as a whole what we're going to experience when we're in the midst of the congregation, right? All right, so that's our second thing. The third thing that I like to consider when having an effective rehearsal is to end on time. End on a respectful time, and letting your team know that, hey, we're here together. We're here. I know that a lot of you have been working all day, and a lot of you have children. You got to get home for school. And then, when you let them know that that you care about them, they're more apt to make sacrifices when you need them to, right? So you take the time to be prepared, you take the time to have things in order and be organized, and then you end at a decent time. You don't have to be in rehearsal for 2 and 3 hours every week. When you have things prepared and you have things in order, you don't have to be in practice for 2 and 3 hours a week. Pastor Damon, what's a good time frame for a practice? I would say an hour to an hour and a half. We start at 6:30. We're usually done by 8:15, 8:30 if we're working on a new song that's really hard, or if we've had an incredible time of worship, right? So I would say no longer than an hour and a half, maybe an hour 45, 2 hours max. Yeah, just knowing and again, just respecting their time. So yeah, that was the last thing. Just making sure that your team knows that you care about them. Thanks, Maribel. I love you. Start and end on time. Great tips. Absolutely. So yeah, that's all I wanted to share with you guys today, is having how to have an effective rehearsal. If you have anybody have any other questions, that was a great question, Pastor Damon. Thank you for that. A great time frame for a practice. Yep. Well, guys, if you have any other questions, feel free to jot them in. If you're watching this replay, you can go ahead and write your question down, comments down. I'm always aware of comments and folks that are coming in during this replay. Yep. Absolutely, Carol. Yeah, it's a struggle. Being on time is a struggle, but like I said, we get what we can get in, and making sure that we have that time allocated and we are prepared for that rehearsal. Don't be afraid to let the Holy Spirit take over at the end of a practice. We're not afraid of that. We're certainly not. We let the Lord have his way. What's the best way to get music to your team? Do your musicians rehearse outside of vocal rehearsal? Yeah. So Audrey, the best way that I use to get music to my team, we use Planning Center. Are you familiar with that? And what that does is it allows you to upload music files to the account, and then everyone has access to that. That's a part of the music team. Before I was using Planning Center, I would use Google Drive and created a folder and put all of the songs in the folder and then shared that folder with everyone. So Google Drive is a great resource you can use for free. Do your musicians rehearse outside of vocal rehearsals? Yes, the musicians rehearse the same time that the singers rehearse, but they practice in the sanctuary, and we practice in the separate room. I'd like for us to come together to practice, but yeah, that's where we are now. How soon do you start introducing a new song to your team? Before at least 2 weeks. At least 2 weeks, Brianne. I give them at least 2 weeks to introduce a new song before I present it to the congregation. 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I have one song that we've been working on since January, I think, February. It's a little bit more of an intricate song, but the other part of that is I wanted to, we got to, when you know that you have a song that's really, really great for, it's a great song, you want to make sure that you introduce it at the right time. So I think it's okay to go ahead and introduce a new song, but that just because you introduce that new song to your team doesn't mean you have to present it to the congregation right away. So take time to teach your new song to your team before you introduce it to the congregation. Okay. How many new songs a month? I may do 2 songs a month. That's my max, 2 songs a month. I try not to do more than that, just because for my church, thank you for answering that, Jennifer. But I try not to do more than 2 songs in a month. But even with our congregation, we've been introducing a lot more style as well. We do a lot more like Jesus Culture Planet Shakers, just a different style of song that our congregation is a little bit older. We're growing, and we're advancing and all of that good stuff. But because of that, I try not to do more than 2 songs a month. And we practice every week. So how many practices a month? That's 4 practices. I don't know that people do more than that, but we practice every week. Yeah. Nanette was asking if Planning Center is an app. It's called Planning Center Online, and if you Google that, it's a software that they have so many resources for the entire church. A lot of music ministries start with them first because it's a great way to share music, and it's a great way to schedule your team, and in advance who's going to be there, who's available, based upon their schedule and based upon them answering their invite to worship, to serve. Okay. Yay! You are welcome. Welcome. Awesome. All right, you guys. I have enjoyed being here in my office. I don't have to shut down and drive like a crazy bat. You'll know the rest of that saying, like a bat. But I'm here, and so it's good. But thanks so much for watching today. Again, if you have any other questions, feel free to just jot them down at the bottom of the group. And hey, Brian, good to see you, brother. And feel free to share this video with any worship leader friends that you have. Invite them to the page, okay? To WLA, the Worship Leaders Association page. Awesome. All right, guys, I will see you next Tuesday morning. Same time, 8:30 a.m. on Tuesday. All right, love you much. Have a great one. Bye.